right, good afternoon. Good. Good.
Starting this, me? Go for it, Scott.
All right.
Can you give us the MRI update with Dak and what the outlook is?
Definitely. Dak had an MRI this morning. He has a calf strain. We're going to take this week for rest and rehab. Then we're going to reevaluate Monday. And just the words from Jim, we're optimistic for Minnesota, but I think like any calf strain, especially this early, it's close to the injury, there is variance in timelines. So, but we're optimistic for Minnesota.
How about Tyron?
How good is it that you got a bye week that can kind of help with the healing process and make that Vikings game seem more realistic?
I definitely know the bye week's right on time. Frankly, going through the schedule this morning with the team, just going through the 3 segments of the season, having these 6 games and having a bye week, and then we have 6 games in 33 days, and then a kind of a mini bye weekend, and then we have the last 5 games in the next 33 days. So I think we've talked about it in here. I like the way the schedule lays up, and definitely on a number of fronts, this is a good week for a bye week.
Do you know if he would practice or play this week if y'all weren't on a bye, or do you not get into that discussion because it doesn't matter?
I think that's a hypothetical. So I couldn't tell you.
How about Tyron?
Tyron came out good. He checked out good this morning, and so I expect him back after the bye week, ready to go.
What part of the play did Dak injure?
He said it was right at the end of the game, just on the last play when he came down. He stepped after the throw. He felt it.
Anybody else come out of that dinged up?
Brent Urban. He has a tricep. We're looking at. I just saw him as we broke the team meeting. He feels he's in good shape, but nothing major.
Kennedy's in the concussion protocol.
Yeah, well, he'll still be in the concussion protocol. If we were to play this week, he'd have been challenged to play this week.
That sounds like a hypothetical.
That's not a hypothetical. I'm trying to be a team player here.
Can you walk us through, not to put yesterday's game in the rearview mirror too quickly, but Tank Lawrence, Michael Gallup, Neville Gallimore, kind of where you're gauging those guys are?
I would say Michael's the closest of the 3. I'm hopeful when we come back from the bye week that maybe we can start him an individual like we did with the 3 last week. Tank is still a number of weeks away, and Neville's probably in between Michael and Tank.
When you look at the offensive line penalties yesterday, do you look at them more as all individual cases, or were there some global issues y'all want to address as well?
Global issues? You mean just like a consistent? No, I mean, you had a couple of holding calls. I mean, we could debate that, all you want. It's. I'll just say this: our 1st and 20 offense was outstanding yesterday. I was very proud of the production that we had, but no, I mean we had 10 penalties yesterday, so we have this is Growth Monday, so we had the full review, both special teams, offense, defense, and then a final team meeting. So I mean we need to be better. The combative penalties, I'm not as highly concerned about because you're always working on those things. I mean, they're technical, they're fundamental, they're it's part of the competitive game, and it was a super competitive game yesterday. But we're high on pre-snap penalties, and we got to do a much better job there. So that'll be clearly a focus when we come out of the bye week.
All jokes aside,
all 5 of your starters got penalized. So I don't know if you've ever seen that before, but it would seem kind of odd in a game like that.
Yeah, it's odd. I thought this, just the, some of the things went on, with the game were a little odd. And every game has a different ebb and flow to it. From how fast the clock's wound, how fast the ball's spot, the timing of penalties. So, and the point I'm making is that all falls under the category of adversity. I thought our team was tremendous, answering the bell time and time again as we were, involved in those situations. So why they happen, how they happen, it's really irrelevant. It's most importantly is how you respond to it, and that adversity component that you never get enough live work at. That's why I think winning overtime games, especially this time of year, really pay a lot of value to the development and growth of a football team. Because you need to learn how to win. You need to learn how to win consistently, and you have to win those kind of games. So, there'll be a lot to gain coming out of this victory.
It wasn't just yesterday. It seems like it's been throughout the season that y'all have been very effective when you're behind the chains. I'm just curious what you attribute that to.
I'll say this: patience. It was frustrating on the sideline at times. I think this was probably, for us as a staff, was probably about as frustrating. The up and down that we've had to deal with, and it was good for us to discuss it and talk about it and learn from it. But I think the fact that we've been aggressive on fourth down, and particularly where we are in the game, where we are in the field, not taking a 4-down approach as opposed to a 3-down approach. So I think those things help us. I think it helps you call plays when you're in that mindset, obviously. So and at the end of it, really, the guy controlling the huddle was outstanding. I thought Dak, just the way he handled all that, and just we were just talking a little while ago about the game and the pace of it all, and for everything that was going on, he said he really didn't feel any of it. So, and I just think that shows you how focused he was yesterday. So, and that's a big part of our success, because as you're able to spin plays and him just to keep playing and being consistent, keeping his feet quiet. I thought he did that at an extremely high level yesterday.
Mike, did you mean to throw that
When
challenge
you win the
flag
game
so hard?
again, when you look at the goal line plays, how do you evaluate that in terms of did you do the right thing? Did you do the wrong thing? How do you look at those plays again? How good you in the tape?
Well, watching the tape, they went from a 6-2 to a 5-3. So I think really going into the game, not only goal line. The way we were expecting multiple fronts, the coverages that they gave us. You go to the other side of the ball, our defense, they had played two snaps of 22 personnel to this point in the season. We saw 20-plus snaps of 22. So there was a lot of adjustments going on in the game. But as far as that particular series, I was comfortable with the play calls and the design of them. I'm in the third down. There's got to be a better way, because I think it's twice this year now that Dak's halfway in the end zone, but the ball's not making it in there. So, and I know Danny, the referee, just he didn't have a view of the ball. So I just you got 22 players with all botched up. So the vision to the football is definitely, I know it's a challenge down there. So. But yeah, I think it was a great game to compete in on all fronts.
On the Patriots' last touchdown pass, Trayvon Diggs took ownership of giving it up, but it looked like it was a combination of him and KZ. Just kind of, what did you see on that play, and what can they do differently? Yeah, different. I think I said this after the game. I think it's just they misjudged the ball. To be honest, when the ball went up, I thought Trayvon was going to pick it. And I don't know if his feet weren't right or he misjudged the flight of the ball. I like the call, them coming right back after him, after an interception with a double move. But I thought he was in decent position, and I think KZ, hesitated too. I think he felt that he was going to, jump up and pick it. So, but yeah, I just think we misplayed the ball and mistimed the ball, and it resulted in a huge play for them.
Is that something that you say, okay, if he's going to keep making these game plays, he's going to take risks that sometimes lead to that? Or how do you coach that balance of aggressiveness and risk?
Well, it wasn't really a risk. He's in coverage. It's a double move. He's in trail position, and I've seen him make that play time and time again on the practice field. So, and I think it threw KZ off, because he obviously had a good break on the ball and was in position.
Do you think there's any part of KZ that's hesitating to deliver that hit because he's worried about that kind of penalty?
That's a good question. I haven't had that conversation, but that's probably something that he'd be better served to answer. But that's don't know.
Have you had a chance to
Have
visit
you
with
ever
Lyle
talked to a player
Collins?
that's been on a tear like Trayvon Diggs has been right now? Not so much interceptions, but whether it's touchdowns, whether it's sacks, anything of that nature.
Not off the top of my head. I mean, obviously I've had some quarterbacks that have been on great rolls, but this is special. I mean, it's intercepting the football is difficult because teams can throw away from you, but extremely impressed with what he's done to open up the season.
Mike, have you had a chance to talk to Lyle Collins? Where is he at physically, mentally, all of it?
Yeah, Lyle's been here. I mean, he looks good. Workouts and so forth. So we're excited to get him back in the full mix after the bye week. But
Is it an obvious no-brainer? He's the right tackle as well as Terrence Steele has played.
and that's really the timing of the bye week. These are the kind of conversations we'll have. We got full slate of South Scott projects that we're going to do tomorrow. We're going to do cross the hall preparation for when the players come back. I think I've talked about cross the hall here in the past. It's something that's really served the players very well. So we'll have a personnel meeting probably tomorrow. So we'll have those types of conversations.
As you probably know, Collins played
Is it
guard
hard
when
for
he first
Lyle
came.
because you have a bye week and then next week you have maybe 3 days of practice time to kind of say, okay, let's throw you in a game after being off for 5 weeks, even though he might be in good shape,
Definitely. I mean, he played on short reps coming out of camp. So we'll just have to see where he is once we get on the field Wednesday.
Do you give him the whole week off from practice?
Yes, whole week off from practice. Absolutely.
I get that they're drastically different situations. The fourth down that you didn't get at the beginning of the game and the fourth and shorts that led to the miss and the made field goal, obviously very different situations in the game, but is that purely by hunch situation? Do you pre-plan those types of decisions? Like when you weigh that over the course of a game, just what's your thought process?
Well, I mean, there's pre-planning goes into it. I mean, there's a range that I'm looking at each and every week based on game plan, studies with what they've done, what we expect to get in those situations, and then there's obviously in-game, things because they can obviously change the way they play us when they start out. So it's a combination of both.
I've been pondering the right time to
I know
ask
from a
this.
personal standpoint, the having a bye week is big. Can you look at it and say, man, we're took the role here. This might halt our momentum a little bit.
Not at all. I've never looked at the bye week. I think bye weeks are always at the right time because, unless it's after the second or third week. I think 6 weeks into a season, especially when you play the yearly Thanksgiving game, I think this is a perfect time for us.
How's Donovan Wilson looking at game? It's the first time we've seen him in a couple of weeks.
I thought Donald did good. It was good to get him out there in some packages. I think I talked about this a little bit earlier. The fact that the defense saw so much 13 personnel and 22 personnel. Our projected reps on some of the players wasn't quite what we anticipated. So, but it was great to have Dono back out there.
I don't know if it's still a little bit early for this, but how much of a difference do you think the 17th game is going to make?
That's a great question.
Too early to answer, or are you certain?
I'm planning on. I'm taking measures for it. I'm looking at the schedules. That was part of the presentation I gave today in the team meeting. Just breaking down the games into 3 segments. And what to expect in segment 2 and segment 3, and how this is going to affect or us benefit. As we get into the December, January games. So. I think the fact that what we're doing with our roster, I'm very hopeful and optimistic it's going to serve us well, because of the number of players that we have on IR return, and just hopefully it can time up and, because, I'd hate to lose any of the guys that we have, currently in the building. So, I mean, that's the goal, but, a lot happens between now and then, but I feel like we have a very good plan.
Is there anything that you've tweaked or changed because of the 17th game, or no, anything specific?
Yeah, definitely. I was, I was cut some things back in training camp. I wasn't the initial plan that I put together wasn't we probably hit 90% of that as far as the workload capacity. Bless you. I just think that, just looking forward to, I've always done a fall, the original schedule, I've done a fall schedule and then a winter schedule. I'm going to do something similar, in segment 2 and segment 3. I mean, segment 2 will be our fall schedule. We don't have fall here, so we might have to call it something else. But then we'll have a winter schedule, after the New Orleans game.
How much do you
I
believe
know
in the
you're
idea
optimistic if
of
you want Dak to return. How does Will and Cooper Rush look in the first, 5 weeks of the season? How is the progression going in case you need to use them in a game?
Tell you what, Cooper's done an outstanding job. I mean, he's, Doug does a great job of keeping the quarterbacks involved in the game plan process. As far as individual presentations, throughout the week. Cooper's very sharp. He plays with really good rhythm, has command. So I feel really good about where Cooper Rush is, and I think Will's really has turned the corner in the last 2 weeks of as far as the language and getting comfortable for what we're doing.
how much do you believe in the idea of momentum? And when you enter a bye week like this, and there's obviously going to be a change of pace, what do you tell the players to make sure they're physically and mentally ready to pick back up?
We had a pretty significant team meeting. As far as expectations. As far as what they need to do on the bye week. Our strength and conditioning coach Harold Nash spoke. The nutritionist spoke. So I mean, we feel like we've given these guys a good plan. During these next 7 days. And I think having that extra day Monday. And to be able to really dive into the South Scott where they can benefit individually, I feel will be very helpful as before we get on to Minnesota.
Did you ever get an explanation on the third down play on the goal line why they didn't call it a touchdown?
He said he couldn't see the ball past the goal line.
Obviously, he couldn't see the ball. Yeah.
And that was his explanation. I didn't like it either.
And was it something that you could have challenged, or was it not worth it since?
No, he flat told me didn't see the ball across the goal line. He felt that Dak put the ball across once he was down. So I don't know how the hell he saw that, but I'm not criticizing anybody because we know how that goes.
You mentioned rest and rehab for Dak this week. Will he be in the boot all week? I mean, what are the limitations there?
I do not know the timeline on the boot. I mean, he's in the boot today. I can tell you that.
Players obviously are accustomed to a structure, and then in the off season we have a little time when they're on their own. Now you have this. You give them a certain "be careful out there" message.
Be safe, be smart.
Yeah.
Yeah, we talked about it last week when I told them what the schedule was going to be, and so talked about the things, distractions and what we don't want, and we have an outstanding season, 5-1, where we are, and we make sure that everybody's taking care of themselves, and want to spend as much time as they can with family and friends and regenerate. They've deserved it. They deserve this break, the length of it. So I have a lot of confidence and a lot of trust in those guys.
What went into the decision to attempt the punt block when y'all did, and even though you didn't ultimately get points off that drive? What do you think about how the play was executed?
Well, I mean, I think it's part of our approach. I mean, you have different types of rushes in your punt return or punt rush team. So I mean, there's usually some component of rush even in the return calls. So. And I just thought Luke, did a phenomenal job, and especially the way he attacked the spot of the ball. So that was a huge play for us.
Thank you.
Thank you. Enjoy your bye week. All right.